Hello, hello, and welcome back to Minotaur Hotel. That was a fun conversation we had with Asterion, wasn't it? Well, I guess we'll just continue, right? Right. And not long afterwards, the Minotaur retreats to his room. You refrain from interrupting his peace for as long as possible, but hours later you remember Luke's offer to stargaze. Perhaps it would be for the best allowing Asterion some time alone. He doesn't have to go out if he doesn't want to. While you are addressing yourself, however, you come out of his room. He comes out of his room. That's when.
Are you going out?
Yes, Luke invited me to. Luke invited us to some stargazing tonight. Remember? You don't have to come if you don't want to.
Yes. I was meaning to ask something about this. Would you, or perhaps Luke, mind if I brought my lyre along?
I'm sure we'd all appreciate your songs. A night with friends.
Indeed. I'll only need a minute to get ready.
I'll wait for you. Okay. Before sunset, the Griffin took out a few chairs to the parking lot. The stars above sparkle like a vein of ore. Luke is bathed in red light from a series of battery-powered lamps he brought with him. He pores over the papers strewn on the table, both his notes and a roughed-up book as long as your arm. It's an atlas of the starry sky. The wind threatens to blow it away, but the Griffin uses a lamp to weigh it down. You saw him taking all of these things from his car's trunk. The Minotaur caresses his lyre, a sequence plucked. I'm having a hard time concentrating. If you know what I mean, it's. Yes. Then shifting notes as he tunes it all. You look at Kota you and Kota look at each other, and then off to the side. Three little lizards scamper around you. They approach to take a closer look, eyes glimmering in the dark. Their three little claws click around whatever trinkets they pick up to examine. Keychains, pens, empty beer cans, being passed around for half a minute before being pushed back where they were. After the slightest movement, they run off a yard or two into the wilderness and hide behind a rock. They chitter like birds, then go silent until the tops of their heads pop up from the rock. You slip them a few treats, some grilled chicken bits, a tuna sandwich, a few apples. Their fingers are grubby and so thin. Could you enlighten me about what exactly they are?
The answer is simple.
The sky is like nothing I've ever seen, Asterion. The Minotaur looks up to the Griffin, blinks, and returns his attention to the lyre.
As I was saying, that's easy to answer. Years ago, I heard of a playful breed of
diminutive reptile-like beings,
said to live and toil underground. I have seen them a handful of times in my travels, mainly in the old world and about a century or more ago. These boys have grown awfully scarce as of the last decades. If memory serves, they are called kobolds. Wait, kobolds?
Cobalts? Like the metal?
Indeed. I suppose it must relate to them being underground critters.
A yard away from the four of you, the kobolds play fight on the ground. The chubby lizard crawls on all fours and charges towards the darkest kobold, who dodges, then immobilizes him. The loser groans, not too different from a shrill moo. The chubby one splays himself on the ground, like, butchered cattle and plays dead. Over his corpse, the two other lizards, the dark and light one, rustle. When one trips on the chubby boy, he quickly crawls away, and then stays by the sidelines, fidgeting and hugging himself. The dark boy wins, but a rematch follows. A dark and dusty a cloud of dust rises. Grunts, and shrieks pierce it. The chubby boy groans, following by something. Wait, oh my god. The chubby boy groans something, but neither of the two listen to him. Are you sure they are safe to keep around? What if they are rabid?
If I am correct in my assessment, then yes, I'd say so. Some people see these little ones as pests, but they are diligent workers, assuming they are treated well. And I'll have you know that they are quite resistant to just about any disease you can imagine. Plus, they are cold-blooded. No chance they can get rabies. They are very hard to kill.
I see. And just to be sure, what exactly does treating them well entail?
No, they don't need much. Food, water, or hole to sleep in. Shiny rocks and metals if you want to reward them. The shinier the better. They love pyrite. You can rely on them to work hard, although occasionally they may get distracted and goof off. Take a look. I'm sure they are about to pull something off.
The kobold's rustling match reaches its conclusion. It would seem the darker lizard won time and time again, but this time the lighter one broke an ancient rule by pulling the other's tail. He straddles the loser and lets out a growl of victory, made throaty and ragged from the promise of violence lying underneath it. He's tired of the humiliation, time and time again losing, and as a consequence, being put through the disgrace of eating the greenest apple. By the gods, how many times can a man be made to eat the burnt edge of a bread, the bread slice, before losing his faith in justice and fairness? He pulls a weapon, a crumpled beer can. It is the time for violence. The chubby kobold throws himself to stop him, snorting and shrieking as snot runs down his nose. But their fate is sealed. Cain and Abel cannot avoid the tragedy they were put in by God. In the last second, the darker kobold ponders about life, how there is no grand epiphany before one meets his end, no enlightenment. It all ends as abruptly as one's first memories began. The lighter kobold brings the can down on the other's skull. It makes a dull thud, then bounces off a feet or two away. The loser lets out a dramatic wail, one filled with curses to daemons, and pleas to the gods, while the victor yells in maddened glory. The chubby one cries in grief. The winner takes the spoils, the ripest apple, the thickest chicken bit, and the middle of the sandwich overflowing with tuna. What a sick, twisted world this is. The chubby boy can only wail, moaning his characteristically shrill moo, and invoke the Furies to bring retribution. The victor lets out a final shriek of glory. Hold on, let it ring across the valley until it all dies down. The end. The three boys rise, hold each other's hands, and celebrate. What a marvelous performance. The troupe bows as the invisible audience offers them a standing ovation.
They are very playful, as you can see. Wouldn't you agree, Luke?
What?
The kobolds. Aren't they the funniest things you've ever seen?
Yeah, sure. A funny little rascal ate my lunch, but sure.
You can't blame them. They are so thin. Who knows when they last had a proper meal?
Uh-huh. The Griffin goes back to pouring over his reddened papers. You get up to check how he's doing. There's a celestial atlas on the table. Its pages are thoroughly scribbled with very faint pencil marks on the margins. Are lists of names and dates. So, Luke, how's it going? Are the stars good enough? Good tonight? Absolutely. The night sky here is just incredible. Look for yourself. Have you ever seen stars so clear as this, Mr. Josh? Can't say I have. I don't think even the most secluded places I've ever visited was like this. Aye. Not a drop of light pollution. If we were near a city with buildings and homes, lampposts, what have you, that junk just makes it hard to see the stars. But not a drop of that here, and I don't recognize these stars at all, not a single one of them. Except, maybe, I see a string of stars that remind me of Hydra, but it might just be a lookalike.
I might have an answer to that, Luke. Did it cross your mind we might not be in the Northern Hemisphere? Perhaps that is all you are familiar with.
I did, in fact, and that ain't it. Plus, I'll have you know, I know my way around the Southern Hemisphere. If there's one thing this bird brain here knows, it's the stars. As you may expect, there's no telephone or GPS signal here either, so there is no way of knowing for sure where on Earth we are. But no place on Earth would have a sky like this, so my hypothesis is we aren't on Earth at all.
Ha! Is this your first time facing something deeply supernatural, Luke? I thought you'd be more acquainted with such circumstances.
Excuse me if I don't come from the mythical Far East, Mr. Dragon God. Back home, we don't have none of this shit. So why don't you enlighten us about what's going on then?
No, well, you are coming at this from the wrong angle, you see. Magic isn't meant to be broken down with human science, Luke. It just is what it is.
Sorry, Chief, but that won't do it for me. I'm in love with the sky, and I want to make it all mine. He looks up, with a crown of stars over his head. One could forget the man's lecherous nature and crass jokes for the night. He carries well the majesty, Lord Blaster, of America's bald eagle. Can you imagine if this whole place is on another planet? What this could mean for mankind? Maybe I could. It'd be such a pain in the ass, but maybe I could look into finding a star in common with Earth Sky. With the Earth Sky, cool. But I don't even know where to start with what I'm with that. If I'm wrong about Hydra. Maybe if I... What are you doing, Luke? Mapping the sky, boss. I can't let this opportunity pass by. I pulled our boy Asterion aside yesterday, and he told me there are no records of anyone mapping the sky, so I'm doing it. You mind if I make up constellations and give them names? If Asterion is fine with it, then so am I. Okay. I see. Well, in that case, well, just to be sure, would it be okay if I named one of the stars, named one after my brother? I don't see why not. Thanks. This is a dream come true, boss.
Brother, you say?
That's right. Peter was his name. We used to stargaze as kids, and we'd come up with all the weirdest constellations you can imagine. Brother. Androgos's hand covered the Minotaur's, a rough and calloused mitt on top of his fingers, covered only by a dusting of fur. For 2 weeks, he taught his baby brother how to pull an arrow from a quiver, how to fit its notch on the bowstring, how to pull it with the back and not the arms. Acquiring the strength to pull the string came easily to the growing calf. Asterion of the steppe, wide back. That's what Andragos called him, the archer's son. The dexterity to notch the arrow and aim eluded him, however, and it was years before the young hybrid could let loose a proper sequence of arrows. But one day, Andragos's teaching collapsed inward. Perhaps something changed in the Minotaur's eyes, or a blessing took root in his hands. All he learned was made flesh, and for them to be for from then on, his process was nothing short of prodigal. From that day onwards, once every other week or so, their father would rise early to watch their practicing, to have his undivided attention as target after target fell until it all came to an end. Andragos, how short was our time together, and yet few left such an everlasting impression in me. If only I had remained in Hades. Peter was a cheeky son of a bitch. I even got a question wrong in an exam once, you know. It turned out there's no such thing as an Argos constellation, though there is an Argos Navi. And the bastard got that one right, too. When I came out, he was laughing his ass off at me. He just knew from my face I had gotten it wrong. In my defense, that one is from the southern hemisphere, so it's not like, back then, I had a chance to see it for myself.
I see. So, you had a good relationship then?
Hell yeah! How about you, Blue Boy? Got any siblings back home wherever home is for you?
I did. Once upon a time. A brother, red-scaled and more apt in the martial arts than I, on the other hand, found my aptitude in priesthood and scholarship. Still, we got along well with one another, like two halves of a whole, as the shrine priest would say. And indeed, we would have our disagreements and our arguments, but they never mattered much in the end. Onsen and I
The dragon loses himself in reminiscence for a moment. Then the smile drops off his face.
No, of course. Circumstances made us go our separate ways in the end.
Oh. You know where he is. How's he doing?
Who knows?
Andragos, I never asked if he liked the feathers. The night was much like this. I aimed my bow to the star, as if somehow my arrow could reach it, and lit it loose. 3 times I fired an arrow, and then it fell. Phronios, and I prepared the fire, our sacrifice to you, feathers of a holy bird. As for Phronios, we had no common blood, but we were brothers just the same. That night we partied and drowned the embers with wine, and you told me to forsake the labyrinth. We can worship the gods all the same, pay their due respects in our own hearth, and build a shrine around it.
Asterion. You have your freedom if we build our faith. Asterion, are you listening?
The Minotaur looks to the dragon, lips sealed, as the words cut through his thoughts. He takes a swig from his wine bottle.
Pardon me. What did you say? I was asking, do you have any siblings? Yes, brothers and sisters. Do you mind if I ask where they are now? They aren't around anymore. Quite a while since we last talked. I see. That's quite peculiar to me. I have traveled a lot, seen the world, and yet I have never seen a Minotaur with my own eyes. In fact, of all myths and legends, it is widely believed that Minotaurs didn't exist, or at least doesn't anymore. Would you tell me your siblings' names?
The Minotaur raises his eyes from the lyre. The Griffin and the Dragon had seen much of the labyrinth's mysteries by now, but he hadn't told them, and neither did the Master, he assumed, about his true nature. Did the Dragon learn about it somehow?
Phronios was my brother. Is that so? A very Greek name, just like yours. Is that a family tradition? It's our culture. Greek culture, or perhaps...
You know, it was my brother who first called me Luke. Did yours ever give you a nickname, Asterion?
Yes, he used to call me Little Star.
Little Star, huh? That's the name of a hymn my ma used to sing to me. Would you care to hear it?
Who would, if you would like to share it, yes.
How wise you look, little star, away up yonder in the sky. How many years have you twinkled there, above the world so high? Little star, away up yonder, tell me, were you shining then? Did you hear the angels singing, peace, goodwill to men? I often wonder if you were there while Christ lay in the stall. And if you saw, from your dizzy height, the infant Lord of all. If you had listened on the night, could you have heard the song? That floated down on the midnight air from the angelic throne. Thron? Thron? Yeah. Oh yes, a wise little star you are, yet not a word to say. You watch all night, not all nighter, the drowsy earth, and sleep all through the day. Pretty, huh?
Yes, it is nice. Now that little diversion is resolved. Mr. Josh, Asterion, today Luke and I went down to the bedrock. That's where we found the kobolds. I hope you won't mind, but I looked over some of the contracts and documents stored there. What we found was... Yes, what you found is... Go on, say it. Now you know the truth. I am Asterion, the Minotaur. Yes, but what did you do to deserve this? I displeased the gods. That alone warrants punishment. You should know that well enough, considering your age and precedence. No, that's not even scratching the surface. There has to be more to the story. There are millions of mortals who went far beyond displeasing the gods they worshipped, and I cannot believe any received a punishment so severe as yours. Was it murder, cannibalism, That is the legend, after all, that you...
Coda, stop it. He doesn't want to talk about it.
That I see, but we have a right to know what this is all about, and...
Whatever he did, and no matter how big or small, it's already been paid 100 times over.
I suppose you are correct on that. Still, it does not answer what exactly is going on here. For instance, you, Mr. Josh, if I understood correctly, your role in all of this is being his torturer. There were rocky moments in our interactions, but in my brief time here, I've seen no reason to question your morals. But please, you must understand, I cannot, will not work in a place that tortures someone. There is no magic or amount of gold, nothing that would convince me to do it. So please, I must know what is going on here.
Mr. Josh! Look, I didn't want to bring it up tonight. I'm still freaked out and trying to get a hold of it. And, I ain't sure just saying it like Kota did is what I do. But hell, I'm with him here. I'm done my fair share of fucked up stuff in my life. I'm no saint, but that's all behind me now. I gotta know what this whole labyrinth thing is. So, now that's the cat is out of the bag, would you mind? You gather your thoughts from the night you receive the deed to finding Asterion in the cold room and everything that came after. What an absurd story it is. And it's been less than 2 weeks since you arrived here. As you string the facts together, it becomes clear how absurd it is, and that the mere idea of having absolute power over this realm and Asterion is objectionable. Yes, objectionable enough. Even if you didn't misuse it. But still, you tell them your version up until finding Asterion in the cold room. Which is when the Minotaur jumps in and begins corroborating the story, if not telling his own version. It doesn't take more than 15 minutes to get them up to speed.
Asterion, Mr. Josh, I don't know what to say.
So that's why you looked different last night? But why didn't you tell us?
The less people know it, the more I can just live, ignore it all, and enjoy what I have. Is it only because you went to the valley and saw what it holds that I am willing to speak? Regardless, that was a story I had no interest in ever sharing.
Is there no way to set you free? There must be.
If there was, I assume he'd have achieved it by now. Indeed. I am yet to see a hint of a way out.
Luke turns back to the celestial map, but gazes instead to his feet. Luke looks off to the road and runs a hand over his beard. Asterion draws a breath, holds it, lets it out in a hoarse wheeze. Even the kobolds interrupted their roughhousing. Now they sit by a rock a few feet away and watch Asterion. None of them directs as much as a glare towards you, but their presence bears on you regardless. You are the boss, after all. If anyone has the legitimacy to speak and take the reins, it's you. The event for the afternoon are still fresh. That's a good start. Regardless of whether or not there's one, I can do my part. We were talking earlier about it today about it. For all intents and purposes, Asterion is my business partner. We work together, make decisions, and after consulting each other, we live under the same roof. Asterion said there's no way I could make that official here, and indeed, the labyrinth may have its contracts and laws. It may stop me from signing a document about it. But we don't need paperwork for this. The truth speaks for itself. If we all acknowledge the fact that Asterion and I are equal partners, if everyone knows it, then that's the truth. And you can make me accountable for it, right? Now that you know the truth of about the valley, what will you do if I ever send Asterion out again?
That's not right. We'd stop you.
That's right. Even if you didn't outright restrain me, you could disobey me by, let's say, going on a strike. None of you have to trust me to do the right thing out of the goodness of my heart. You can stop me or pressure me. And if we keep this up for long enough, for the decades, I'll be the hotel's manager. Then, when the next one comes around, we won't have a choice either, will he? He won't have a choice, will he? Everyone will accept Asterion to be treated as a partner. They'll all that's all they'll have ever known. All these restraints will pass on to him. People will demand it. We can't know for sure what the future holds, but this could be enough to keep you a safe Asterion. It might even be a deterrent against other people like Clement in the future.
I am not sure that will resolve all forms of future issues, but regardless, it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, it does sound good, but if someone wants to do something fucked up, it won't really stop them. I mean, even you, if you wanted to do something bad, you could still do it behind closed doors. Hell, if Kota and I aren't paying attention, you could still send Asterion out to the creepy valley.
Asterion, is there a way we could use the hotel's magic to deal with this?
Could there be something you could use? The contract. The contract also has a non-aggression clause. I shall not hurt you. You shall not hurt me. It is a self-enforcing agreement. We will both find ourselves unable to break it. The laws here, you see, apply themselves. Contracts are very powerful. On the off chance one of us somehow breaks one of these terms, then our pact is terminated. I lose the power bequeathed to me, and your hotel's hearth will go out. The trinket reverts back to my ownership. It is a most fair agreement, I'd say. I have an idea, but I'm not sure if it can work. Asterion, I recall you saying that I can't forbid myself from sending you out, but I was thinking. The contract Argos proposed, if I recall, it said something along the lines of Hestia's mirror reverting to its ownership if certain conditions are met, like me hurting you. Like me hurting him. No, yeah, that's it. If I hurt him, then something I dislike happens. Can't we apply the same principle here? A simple request, really. If a condition is realized, then an unpleasant consequence is triggered. Too many such contracts have been crafted over the millennia, so much so that there are dozens of bedrocks. Hence, and yet, few, if any, restrict the all-powerful master. There is one contract he can use, one the Minotaur is well acquainted with. Yet his neck bristles. He grits his teeth and bites his tongue. What hubris to even consider putting the master through such infamy. Or a friend, for that matter. There is no way anyone could accept it. Mr. Josh will refuse. But then, at least, the Minotaur will be able to breathe free of doubt. The charade will be over.
There is something we can do, but I am afraid you won't like it, my lord. I am aware of an old contract that can be created. To create a pair of linked artifacts. It's been used a few times by lords past.
What does it do?
Are you sure this is what you want? Would you really go so as far as restricting yourself to accomplish this? The contract creates two armbands, one in the form of a Lurel
wreath?
One in a simple ring of lead. We established clauses, the conditions which we wish to stop from ever coming true. Let's say we intend to stop you from sending me to the valley. Then you would don the lead ring. I would take the wreath, and we sign the contract with 2 eyewitnesses.
Then it would stop me from doing it?
Strictly speaking, no. What it would do is inflict a punishment on you if it ever came true.
What's the punishment?
It would amputate your arm.
That's quite a punishment.
It is. The lead ring cannot be removed either, unless the contract is revoked, with the consent of both parties and all eyewitnesses. But if you want to prove to me that you have no ill will, then this is your chance. I can get the contract now, tonight. I already know the terms I'd want.
Okay, what do you have in mind?
That I shall not be forced, or
coerced? Wait.
To the valley. That is all I want. If you are telling the truth, if you want to bring harm and wish to realize the hotel's mission, then this condition should not be controversial. I have no business in the valley. The centuries before Clement, I never had a reason to go there, and no master saw a reason to either. This clause does not specify who forces or coerces me to go to the valley, mind you. If this term is signed, then it will be in your best interest to protect me from anyone who would. I don't want you to be harmed either. You have been a good master, so you can expect me to defend you from any who would should so as much try to force you. If what you said tonight is true, it is truly what. If you truly want to make me your business partner, this is the only thing that will convince me once and for all. I will never go to that valley again. That's all I want. Give me this one thing and I will follow you. Not because of my master, but because I'll know you. That you meant what you said.
Yeah, let's do this. Prepare the contract. Okay, I'll end the part here, so I'll see you around, everyone.